This video is proudly sponsored by New Type. Tools, accessories, model kits, these guys have it. Hop over to newtypeshq.com and use promo code UTAKABUILDER for 10% off on your next purchase. Hey, what's going on, my dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to another exciting build of a two-parter series of this fantastic build from the good folks from Bandai, Japan. So why don't we get started with the 1/60th scale, perfect grade unleashed, RX-78-2 Gundam. And without further ado, let's get to it. Yo, welcome back, my dudes and dudettes, to another unique build from the good folks from Bandai. And if this is your first time to this YouTube channel, welcome. So I am no stranger when it comes to the Granddaddy Gundam RX-78-2. I have dabbled in building the bootleg version of the super deformed version of it, followed by building one of the original perfect grades account for the original RX-78, and then dabble in doing my interpretation of the 1:1 scale RX Gundam Mega Size. Now, many years have passed, and a lot of people have been wondering, is Bandai going to be doing a new revision of the perfect grade Gundam? And we've gotten multiple iterations of high grades, master grades, Veracause in the last 20 some years. But me personally, I wanted to know, are they actually going to take the time to do something that is modern, something that it's reflective of what they've learned from the ingenuity of building inner frames and making more dynamic poses, or maybe reflecting and improving on their LED systems? And thus, my dudes and duds, I am happy to inform to you that we have finally got a brand new, modern looking, and probably by far my most favorite RX of all time. And thus, my dudes and duds, we are going to be building the perfect grade, unleashed RX-78-2 Gundam. Now, this is relatively new to me. Now, if I have to say this one and foremost, I have literally put this kit for almost 2.5 weeks. You guys have no idea how long I had to wait until to get this guy in my hands, because everyone else was building on YouTube. I had to wait literally almost 4.5 weeks to get mine. On top of that, I had to wait until there was a proper person making water slide decals. So the struggle was real. And within all that time of waiting and being patient to get this guy in my hands, I am so excited to get started building this model kit, because I just love the overall aesthetic of the box art. It's beautiful in the very front. Nothing too crazy on the sides, but just enough information to get you really hyped up to buy this model kit. And I love the little attention to detail in the lower right hand corner of the box art. They actually give a description on what batteries you will need to actually power on the LED light units. That's great. Bandai has been getting into the habit of doing it with most of their kits, but they're definitely putting it forward with their perfect grades. So enough about that. What's inside the box? Ooh, ooh, shiny. Okay. All right, let's focus on the sticker decals, because I think that's less complicated right now. So, once again, this model kit is not working out with water slide decals. A little disappointed, but to reflect that, you actually get these really cool metal engravings that are going to be used for the vents for the knees and the torso. Love that, a little attention to detail. You get the classic sticker decals for the eyes, camera module, and I believe this little black part is for light blocking for the torso. And then you get these new 3D printed stickers. Now, these are going to be pretty much hyping up areas that would give the sense of the illusion of turned on LED lights for certain key parts of the mobile suit. I think they look really great and actually are really good quality. Now, for those who have been following this channel for almost 4.5 years, you know my sensitivity when it comes to sticker decals. Bandai always drops the ball when it comes to sticker decals being implemented onto their perfect grade. I think they dropped the ball on this one once again, but I'm not going to get into that in a rant. That's for another time. But however, I want to talk about probably the most amazing thing about this model kit is the LED light setting for the beam saber. I personally have been struggling with this for years, trying to make it not too bright, not too narrow, not too power hungry for power, but Bandai has taken the technology that they use for the perfect grade Zeta Gundam and then re-engineer it for it can work on the new RX-78-2 Gundam, which I love that. On top of that, we get our first glimpse of the LED light unit that's going to be illuminating the eyes as well as the torso for this model kit. On top of that, we actually get a handful of metallic pieces. You get the two cups that are going to be for the elbows to lock in a magnetic connector for the shield. You get two metal pieces for the Vulcan cannons up top, and some metal pieces for the thrusters, which has never been done on a perfect grade. I love it. This is a nice premium product, but it gets even more interesting because you actually get two unique color sets of metal pieces. You get the undergate, I guess the skeletal structure, of the mobile suit with these nice flat silver pieces, and then you get these chrome pieces that are going to be pretty much used for certain areas like pistons underneath and for the elbow, pre-posable hands, and selected areas on the beam rifle. But this is where it kind of gets sad. This model kit does not have manipulating hands. You get pre-posing hands for this particular build. Not a problem. It's actually kind of nice and welcoming, but at the same time, it's a nice change of pace. On top of that, we get a handful of like metallic gold pieces, which are nice, a handful of blue pieces, and a small, but yet a lot of small yellow pieces, which have a light slough brownish tint to it, 2 different types of blues for the top of the chest of the mobile suit, and a slew of clear red pieces, which I'm pretty sure they're going to be used for the thrusters on the backpack unit and for the feet. And definitely by far this is the most unique red piece right here. I believe this is going to be for the top part of the Gundam's camera section. And for the last remaining yellow pieces, we're going to get like these nice bright yellow pieces. Definitely give it a nice shift of tones of 2 different colors. Once again, 2 different tones of reds. We're going to get a nice bright red, and we're going to get burgundy red. This has been done before in a handful of perfect reds, but not quite as extensive as this. On top of that, we get a nice look of these nicely pre-sculpted hands that have a great deal of detail in the inner palm area. Oh! Love that attention to detail, man. This is starting to win me over. On top of that, we're going to get more inner frame pieces for the mobile suit itself. They're kind of a little bit of a dull gray metallic texture, but that's fine. But at the same time, this is where things get kind of cool. We're going to get a handful of clear pieces for this mobile suit. Now, these pieces are going to be pretty much primarily focused on the backpack unit, some areas around the chest for the vent sections, a couple of areas for the cockpit. This little ball section here is, I'm presuming, supposed to be for light piping when you put the LED light in there. This section here is going to be for the main eyes, which is definitely different from every perfect grade I've built. Love that. On top of that, we're going to get a handful of clear pieces for other key areas. So this is a lot. Didn't expect that. And as for the remaining runners, this is everything we have here for the inner frame. There's no need to go into depth about that. More white pieces, more inner frame pieces for the nice titanium silver finish, more reds, more whites, 2 beam sabers, which is great. I love it. They're pretty much the exact same beam sabers that have came out in every perfect grade in the last several years. But can we take a step back and really appreciate these beautiful sculpted figurines for this mobile suit? I know that's something that most people kind of like look aside and not paint it, but these are beautifully sculpted for something that's at this kind of high quality. Would really advise you guys paint those if you actually do build this kit. Now let's talk about the beast of this mobile suit, and that is the instruction manual, because this dude is hefty. Probably the most thickest perfect grade instruction manual that I've built next to the Unicorn Gundam. So there's a great deal of information to people when they first built this mobile suit, everything down to how they engineer the inner frame, how it's in like a 4 to 5 stage process leading up to the finished product. At the same time, really showcasing on what they've learned over the last 40 years, or should I say 30 years, when it comes to making Mobile Suit Gundam model kits, especially the perfect grade lineup. So I love that attention to detail. One thing that's definitely new in the perfect grade series is there's actually prefabricated pieces for the inner frame of the legs for this mobile suit. Now, I have been told that this has been done for real grades, and I haven't really built too many real grades except for the Eva Unit 1, but definitely something I want to look into even more. Next page gives you a nice showcase of the L.E.D Lights system that looks pretty cool on paper, but in reality, there are certain conditions that you need to get that LED light to work correctly. We get a beautiful shot of the core fighter. At the same time, we get another shot of the core brick when you have 2 little alternate parts of it when you want to use it for this mobile suit. I love that. A good shot of the weapon accessories. And now we get into the meat and potatoes, and that is the final part of this instruction manual. Everything you need to know about the sticker decals, followed by the batteries you're gonna need for the LED light unit, areas that are actually metallic pieces that you're not supposed to actually put together with glue. You know, it looks really complex, but for someone who's actually has experience building something like this with Legos back in the day, it's not that hard. At the same time, looking at it in a perspective from someone that is new to building Gunpla, this instruction manual, I have to say, it is the best I have seen in the lineup for Gundam. It's not too hard, not too difficult, but at the same time, very, very easy to follow. I mean, I thought at first when I looked at this, it was a bit overwhelming. And I mentioned this in one of my Instagram stories, how overwhelmed I was with joy on how beautifully this instruction manual was designed. You know what areas you need to put together, you know what areas you need to put on the sticker decals, you know what areas you want to do some custom painting, and at the same time, you know what areas you need to put together. But speaking of areas you need to put together, you also get a good glimpse of areas you can put this guy in dynamic poses. I would say these poses are on par with the Strike Freedom Gundam. really, really dynamic and very, very impressive on what you can do with this mobile suit. The downside with most of these dynamic poses, you need an action base, which this model kit does not come with. On top of that, we get this massive color guide chart if you want to do some custom painting. It is by far the biggest one I have seen next to the Strike Freedom Gundam. Very impressive, very well thought out, and at the same time gives you a clear understanding if you want to do some color mixing, tells you which colors you need to use, how to mix it accordingly, at the same time gives you another color guide to cut the little figurines. Dude! This is the best perfect grade manual, best perfect grade instruction manual that I have seen in the last 4 years of making YouTube content. I am super stoked. So as always, before I get started doing any kind of customization, I need to evaluate which area I need to tackle first. Logically, it makes sense to tackle the legs first because that requires a lot of love and attention. But on top of that, this model kit has the most extensive amount of detail for an interframe that I've ever built in a perfect grade, and it's literally going to take me a whole entire day to get these pieces cut out and cleaned up. Well, here I go. See you guys in a jiffy. The best part of waking up is chai tea in your cup. All right, that's enough about that. Anyway, all the pieces are actually cut out and ready to roll, followed by all the white pieces are cleaned up and the other extension interframe pieces are ready to rock out. Now, when it comes to the figurines, I do not want to put these guys on the waist size. There is way too much love and care that went into sculpting these little figurines, so when I have the time available, I will tackle these guys last on my own free time, and at the same time give them the proper treatment they deserve. But as for the remaining pieces, this is where things get kind of interesting. So the model kit definitely emphasizes the 3D stickers for areas that are red and green, implementing that would be LED lights if this guy was built in a 1-to-1 scale. I am not going to be doing that to that extensive detail because doing that kind of functionality of putting LED lights in so many areas, it just ends up looking like a giant Christmas tree. So I am going to be focusing on key areas that definitely would draw the attention. For example, the cabs. The cabs look absolutely great. Now, trying to put an LED light in these cab areas with the white pieces, it is possible, but it's going to dim it to the point where it definitely won't pop out. And I don't want that effect to be kind of like repressed. I want it definitely to show out. So to help alleviate that issue, I'm going to be dremeling out those sections with a very small little Dremel. And once that is done, then I'm going to be cleaning that area with a very sharp X-Acto blade. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure you do it nice and slow. Doing it too aggressively to the point you actually end up cutting the plastic to the point where it looks really, really shallow. So take your time when you cut these areas out. This, once again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but this is just my way of adding a little bit more custom flair to this mobile suit than what it's severely lacking. Then once that is done, then I'll be putting an LED light to test out to see how it looks, and voila. It looks absolutely stellar. Now, to help protect that LED, I'll eventually put like a little bit of a glue coat to protect it from the outside. Now, for the back cap area, there's really no point of actually cutting that area out because the plastic there is slightly denser, so putting a bright LED light behind the white pieces is going to illuminate the way how I want it. But to help retain that shape that's shown on the plastic, I'm going to be masking it off with some Tamiya masking tape and then using a sharp, once again, razor blade to cut that shape out so that way it's fully protected when I do my custom painting. Alright, so this next part is going to be a little complicated, but I'll try my best to explain what I'm trying to do. So, in the cab area, there is plenty of cavity space in certain key spots, but at the same time, I don't want there to be too much overcrowding inside these particular key areas. So, with this particular metallic piece, I'm actually going to cut it out in a nice C shape, just enough to the point where it actually can help keep enough room to the LED to be placed there, so that way it doesn't compact it. This is optional once again, but at the same time, I want to try my best to make sure that there's plenty of cavity space for the LED light to sit and breathe in there. If it's too cramped, it'll chip, it'll break it, and it'll damage it to the point where you have to do the whole process all over again. Alright, my dudes and dudettes, that concludes part 1 of this incredible build from the good folks from Bandai. And if you guys want to see more content like this, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And stay tuned to part 2 because it should come out in the next couple of days. But until then, I'll catch you dudes and dudettes later.